everyone. I'm Hannah Herring, and for my second presentation of the semester, I've chosen to review Julie Andrews' Treasury for All Seasons, Poems and Songs to Celebrate the Year. Part of the reason I chose to wait until later in the semester to do my last review is because I wanted to be able to find a book that I really, really loved and not just pull something out of thin air to review just to meet a deadline. And I'm really glad I did because I found this book a couple weeks ago and it is absolutely beautiful. So the really cool thing about it is Julie Andrews, she picked poems based on the time of year. There are poems for, I'll figure out how to hold this, there are poems for New Year's Day, there's a poem for Groundhog Day, St. Patrick's Day, and April Fool's Day. There are literally poems for just about there's 4th of July, there's September doesn't have a holiday, and so she has poems on homework, and one about her grandmother, and then she does Rosh Hashanah Eve. And then, of course, October, November, and December are filled with holidays. One of the other cool things she does is she shows the Sabbath / Shabbat, which is another religion's type of Sabbath bells. She talks about different stuff. She has for birthdays, when there's a new baby, a coming of age, and then the really cool thing about the poems is just look at these beautiful illustrations, the watercolor paintings, the lines, the swirly colors, the different color combinations. Being on the autism spectrum, I have a really hard time with images, and so reading picture books is really hard for me. And so when I find a book like this where the colors are, they're gloriously wonderful. This just feels like winter looking at it. It's so visually appealing, and it adds so much to the story. And so for books like The Lorax, where it was really hard for me to pay attention to the illustrations, a book like this is wonderful because I can understand the content of the poem and also enjoy how the illustrations are supposed to add to it. And this poem, The Last Word of a Bluebird as Told to a Child, it's by Robert Frost, and what makes it so neat is how it's blue, and it isn't quite in the shape of a bird, but then there's a bird right next to it, and so it just really makes you think, oh, the bluebird is talking to me, and that's really cool. So this presentation can't be super long, so I will skip ahead to May. You can see May. Now children may go out of doors without their coats to candy stores. The apple branches and the pear may float their blossoms through the air, and Daddy may get out his hoe to plant tomatoes in a row, and afterwards may lazily look at some baseball on TV. So it just has this really simple rhyme scheme, and I believe that's an A-B throughout, and you can see the farmer planting, and it brings the poem to life. So I really love this poem. Obviously, it falls into the genre of poetry and children's poetry. It meets all the expectations of the genre, and let me just pick a couple more to show you so this isn't too long. I could literally look at this book for hours, and I kind of have as my best friend. And then it shows even Columbus. Once upon a time there was an Italian, and some people thought he was a rapscallion, but he wasn't offended because other people thought he was splendid. And he said the world was round, and everybody made an uncomplimentary sound, but his only reply was pooh. He replied, "Isn't this 1492? And so it's too long to read the whole thing, but it's just this really fun poem about the life of Christopher Columbus. And then you see autumn. Doesn't that just feel like autumn looking at it? It's so beautiful. So in short, I highly recommend Julie Andrews' Treasury for All Seasons. It's a beautiful book. I have no idea how much it costs. I got it from the Madison Library here in Rexburg. And then it gives credit on the back to some of the poets that were selected. Julie Andrews and Emma Walton Hamilton. They were the ones who selected the poems, but these are all of the different authors if you want to pause the screen and look at that. And then the paintings are by Marjorie Priceman, and they are absolutely beautiful. So I am going to enjoy reading this poetry book. I think I'm going to read The Waiting Game because I haven't read this one yet, Christmas Stockings. And I hope all of you have a great day. Thanks so much for watching my presentation. Bye-bye.